6 of the Diddy trial, and Cassie Ventura took the stand and testified for nearly a full day about her relationship with Diddy. And I believe that the testimony was more intense, more sensational, and I think more disturbing than I or just about anybody realized it was going to be.
And there was a shocking recording played in the courtroom today. I don't know in the courtroom if there was a reaction, but kind of give the context to that and what the reaction was.
Presumed innocent until proven guilty. That defendant, of course, Sean Diddy Combs, walked.
In what might be the most jaw-dropping twist so far in Diddy's unfolding courtroom drama, CNN has just released official courtroom audio capturing a raw, intense moment of panic from the hip-hop mogul himself during Day 6 of the high-stakes trial. As shocking allegations and emotional witness accounts continue piling up against the Bad Boy Records founder, this leaked audio throws a brand new spotlight on a case already full of tension and surprises, pulling millions of viewers across the world deeper into the chaos.
Diddy trial. I'm going to make this super fast because we have a short lunch break. But Diddy came in this morning, really seemed to be in good spirits, hugged his lawyer, Alexandra Shapiro, and Mark Agnifilo. And they had some discussions about witnesses getting certain testimonies struck. And at one point, Mark Agnifilo said something along the lines of that, this case is becoming based on gossip. He brought up the fact that there is a chef, Diddy's chef, is expected to testify, who was allegedly assaulted. And Agnifilo says, well, where is this in the indictment? This has nothing to do with racketeering, etc. And the government came back and said, look, the chef is a victim of forced labor. And there was a lot of discussion around this, but I want to give you one little piece of that before we go to Dawn Richard finishing her direct examination. Now, I'm going to make this kind of general, but Dawn Richard, she testified about the Cassie Skillet incident.
On the 6th day of Sean Diddy Combs' trial, Cassie Ventura took the stand and shared powerful testimony about how their relationship began. She revealed that at just 19, shortly after signing with Bad Boy Records, Combs, then 37, pulled her into a world filled with heavy substance use and manipulation. Cassie said she was pressured into using drugs and later exposed to increasingly disturbing behavior, including being forced into intimate situations with male adult workers. Acts. Combs allegedly recorded himself.
What she has already said, I just want to say that her husband is in the courtroom and the defense tried to get him removed, saying that they might call him up as a witness later. But the prosecutor pushed back, saying that Cassie is going to need her support system when she's on the stand. They ended up meeting in the middle, saying that he can stay, but he will have to leave once Cassie gets to 2018, where she alleges that Diddy had her. Now, throughout Cassie's testimony, it's being said that she was dabbing her eyes, she was emotional, and she was resting her hand on her belly. Obviously, we know Cassie as a 38-year-old pregnant woman, but she described meeting Diddy when she was just 19 years old. She was modeling in New York City, but after meeting, she signed a 10-album deal with his label, Bad Boy Records. She was very honest with her testimony. She talked about the fact that he was this larger-than-life entrepreneur, and she was a fan of his music. She said she was 21 when Diddy made his first move. She was in Vegas celebrating her birthday when Diddy, out of nowhere, kissed her in the bathroom. She was really confused. She was young and a new artist and didn't really know the lay of the land when it came to...
She also spoke about a disturbing incident from 2016 where Combs allegedly acted aggressively toward her in a hotel lobby, an event backed up by surveillance footage. Her testimony painted a haunting picture of a long stretch of control and abuse that, according to her, started from the very beginning of their relationship.
Was a full day of testimony. It's the centerpiece of the prosecution's case. Cassie came to the stand. She is, of course, pregnant, and she was ready to testify about the full course of her relationship with Diddy. And remember, they were together for 10 years. This was a decade-long relationship, and that will come into play when the defense has an opportunity to cross-examine her and ask her about the terms of that relationship.
The whole idea of consent, yeah.
But this was her laying out the narrative in the prosecution's case in chief. And she squarely addresses that beating video in the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016. But even before then, they go back in time and said, when did these really start? And she really painted a picture of the very first, where she says she was 22 years old. This occurred at one of Diddy's homes. She said it was highly directed. There was masquerade masks involved. There were escorts involved. There were at least 2 sessions in that first, and the session was over when the escort, who had been paid for the services, was done.
The government is accusing Sean Combs of racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation for the purpose of prostitution. And they painted a picture of how he ran his business and used his employees to conduct all of these crimes, including trafficking, kidnapping, arson. The defense, on the other hand, showed a different view of Sean Combs. They admitted that he has a lot of flaws, that he has a really bad temper, that he is guilty of domestic violence and sexual.
While on the stand, Cassie Ventura shared moments that revealed Combs' deep jealousy, especially when it came to her interactions with other men. She described how he would lash out over both her personal and work-related connections, viewing them as threats to his control. One standout moment was his reaction to her communicating with actor Michael B. Jordan during a film shoot in South Africa. Cassie said Combs accused her of cheating and responded with intense, aggressive behavior that exposed just how possessive he really was.
Chris Brown's name was brought up, and it was mentioned in the context of Combs' defense team saying, you both would get jealous. And at one point, Diddy got jealous because you were dancing with Chris Brown at some sort of a nightclub or an event, and he took your phone and he wanted to see what was in your phone. So this is one of many instances that we're hearing about jealousy. We've also heard from the prosecutors that Combs was incredibly jealous when Cassie at one point was dating Kid Cudi, when she was dating actor Michael B. Jordan. So, you know, again, it's just another famous face that we're hearing about in the courtroom.
And I think people, when they hear that Chris Brown's name was brought up, expected it to go somewhere, but it kind of halted pretty quick and they moved on. Can you just kind of touch on that?
It was just a second. So there's so many headlines right now with celebrities being mentioned, from Michael B. Jordan to Britney Spears and now Chris Brown, but these are brief.
This pattern of jealousy showed up in other relationships too, with Cassie describing how Combs' constant suspicions often sparked heated arguments and sometimes even turned physical. Her testimony painted a picture of a relationship built on control and manipulation, where his jealousy became a weapon to isolate and overpower her. These disturbing details help build the prosecution's case, portraying Combs as someone who used jealousy as a method of coercive control to keep Cassie under his dominance.
Really getting into really the nuts and bolts of it. And remember, these are celebrities. They went to huge parties. They were at nightclubs. They were at events together. So it's only natural that those are the names that are in their orbit. But again, some of these names are coming up to paint Combs as being a jealous.
In November 2023, Cassie Ventura filed a civil lawsuit against Combs, accusing him of a decade-long pattern of abuse, including misconduct, physical violence, and manipulation. Shockingly, the case was settled the very next day for $20 million. During her testimony, Ventura said she would gladly give that money back if it meant wiping away the trauma she suffered, stating, "I would have agency and autonomy." Combs has denied all accusations and pleaded not guilty to serious charges including trafficking and racketeering. The trial continues, with Ventura's testimony standing as a major pillar of the prosecution's case.
She'd give back her $20 million settlement to erase those experiences, those terrible memories. The defense pointed to explicit text messages she sent to Combs to challenge her credibility. Prosecutors say her story, though, shows a pattern of control and abuse at the heart of the trafficking charges. Ventura and her husband, Alex Fine, released a statement after the testimony. Their attorney read it to the public earlier. Take a listen to a portion of it.
You did not break the woman who has made me a better man. I did not save Cassie, as some have said. To say that is an insult to the years of painful work my wife has done to save her.
During Combs' ongoing federal trial, his attorney raised the possibility that an undiagnosed bipolar disorder might explain the alleged 2018 incident involving singer Cassie Ventura. Ventura recalled that on the night in question, Combs was acting bizarrely, saying he didn't seem like himself and ignored her pleas to stop. When asked if she had ever told investigators that his behavior might be tied to bipolar disorder, Ventura replied quietly, "I guess so."
You've mentioned about a bipolar disorder, which Sean Combs has denied in the past. Kind of talk about how he's denied this and wondering if maybe in the future of the trial, we might learn more about it.
So there's been a lot of discussion about drug use on both sides. There's been a lot of talk about their state of mind and their mental health. At one point, Cassie talked about having gone to a treatment center for 45 days to recover from trauma that she experienced in the relationship. At another time, they actually talked about Combs going to rehab, and they talk about a video of him being in nature and trying to get help. But something interesting came up was when Combs' defense team referenced his bipolar disorder, and that's really the first time that we're hearing that he might actually have a diagnosed clinical condition. We know that he has talked about his temper, his mood swings. I mean, that's how he got his nickname, right? Puffy, because he huffed.
Dawn, Richard gave powerful testimony, sharing disturbing mistreatment she says she both witnessed and endured while working closely with Combs. Richard, formerly of Danity Kane and Diddy Dirty Money, recalled several moments of violence aimed at Combs' then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. She described seeing Combs allegedly punch, choke, and drag Ventura, including a shocking 2009 incident where he reportedly hit her with a skillet during a heated argument over making breakfast.
Girlfriend Cassie Ventura. Well, now we're hearing from the next witness. Her name is Dawn Richard. She will testify for the prosecution in just about an hour from now. Now, Dawn Richard, a former cast member on Combs' MTV reality show Making the Band and a member of Diddy's Dirty Money group, a former member. She last testified last week that in 2009, Combs beat Ventura and dragged her upstairs by her hair. She said at the time she then heard glass shattering and Ventura screaming. Now, we should note that Richard sued the music mogul last year, accusing him of physical abuse, groping, and psychological abuse during the years that they worked together. His representative denied the claims at the time. Now, Richard's testimony follows 4 days on the witness stand by Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Cassie Ventura testified she was forced into drug-fueled freak-offs, as they were described, with other men at Combs'.
These testimonies offered a closer look at the nature of Diddy's exclusive parties, described as private, heavily secured gatherings where only carefully chosen guests were allowed in. Witnesses claimed that what went on inside wasn't just about music or fun. Things often crossed serious boundaries now under legal scrutiny. Multiple accounts pointed to a troubling pattern of behavior that made many attendees uneasy, particularly those employed or managed by Diddy himself.
For Diddy's trial has officially begun. Prosecutors are done with their opening statement, and now it's Diddy's defense's turn. The federal prosecutor brought up Cassie's name immediately, saying that Diddy allegedly would have a worker urinate in her mouth during a freak-off. The attorney, Emily Johnson, also said that Diddy would force Cassie to have with male escorts while he sat there watching and recording. He said that Diddy would call the parties with these male escorts freak-offs, Wild King nights, or hotel nights. He said that his staff organized transportation and lodging and would set up the room with lubricant and lighting and would pay these workers with cash and provide them substances. He also said that Diddy was directing every step of this party and expected the women to act like they were enjoying themselves. When it came to Cassie, they say it all began at 19 when she had her hit single, and that he would often get violent with her. When Diddy found out that she was with another man, he flew into a rage, allegedly brutally beating her, kicking her in the back and flinging her like a rag doll, and blackmailing her by threatening to release a video of her of having with male escorts. Of course, brought up the surveillance video that many of us have seen and said that in one instance, Diddy stomped on her face in an SUV and made her stay in a hotel for a week to hide her injuries. They also say that if she took too long in the bathroom, he would beat her. They also bring up another alleged victim, someone who started hanging out with Diddy in 2020. She was a single mom and she started to fall in love with him before she was exposed to these parties. They say that Jane Doe thought the first time she had a freak off that it was a one-time thing, but it wasn't. They claim that she wanted the escorts to use protection, but Diddy wouldn't allow it, so she would take substances to get through the parties. Feds claim that she had vomited once, but Diddy had forced her to keep going. They also say that Diddy was violent with her and that he would blackmail her with these.
Combs' influence in the music industry has often been defined by his calculated use of power and money to keep control over artists and those around him. This control reportedly came in the form of financial dependence, career interference, and enforced silence through non-disclosure agreements. Former Bad Boy Records artist Mark Curry claimed that Combs used the return of music publishing rights to pressure artists into signing NDAs, essentially keeping them quiet. Meanwhile, testimony from figures like Dawn Richard and Carrie Morgan described mistreatment and intimidation, with Combs allegedly threatening anyone who witnessed or dared to speak out against him.
Females or males' careers in whatever they wanted to, do, whether it was management, whether it was music, whatever it was. He promised them their careers, which a lot of the lawsuits say that. And a lot of people have heard the same thing from R. Kelly. You're going to notice a lot of this stuff. If you're not aware of R. Kelly's case, this is a lot of the same stuff that they got R. Kelly under. And where is R. Kelly right now? In prison, rotting away. So this is the exact same thing, just at a, of course, higher level, because R. Kelly isn't nearly as rich as Diddy and nearly as big as Diddy is. Continuing on, physical abuse by Sean Combs, the defendant, was reoccurrent and widely known. On numerous occasions from at least in or about 2009 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women by, among other things, like striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. That Combs referred to as, among other things, so they literally mention it in the indictment. Offs were elaborate and produced performances that Combs arranged, directed, and got off to. They're basically saying he was, pleasuring himself to the stuff, and often electronically recorded. So here's the thing. They're saying this stuff because they got video footage, and they talk about it a little bit later in a video that I'll show. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the associates of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and internationally. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involved multiple commercials.
A legal professional tied to Diddy's ongoing case revealed that other high-profile figures could soon be drawn into the investigation. While no specific names have been mentioned publicly, the remark has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Speculation is now running high over who else might be connected to the larger scandal. As more details emerge, the possibility of additional celebrities being named has fueled growing concern and intense curiosity across the public and media alike.
Going to be people with crank calls and people with foolishness and people with malcontent, but we are sifting through that and trying to make sure that we identify and vet people that have real claims, legitimate, credible claims. Right now, we're talking about 120 people from 25 different states for conduct that occurred over 25 years, and a lot of these people were flown in. And this wasn't a secret. I mean, it was known that people were being flown in for these parties. People were being paid cash to attend these parties. People were being identified at clubs or at concerts or on the street even, and invited to these parties. You have that group of people that are involved, and then you have another group, and maybe this is the more sinister situation where young people with stars in their eyes, wanting to break into the entertainment industry with promises of
Tana, an aspiring singer, shared a disturbing account of what she experienced at a lavish party hosted by Combs. Invited by a Saudi prince, she arrived to find heavy security in place. Guests were required to hand over their phones to block any recordings. Once inside, she was selected to enter a private area, marked by being given a pair of white shoes. The scene there was chaotic and overwhelming. Tana described witnessing people involved in explicit behavior, many of whom seemed heavily intoxicated or under the influence of unknown substances.
Little people, so I'm like, what's going on over there? They look dressed up, I don't know if it's a video shoot going on or what, but I'm just like looking like, okay, little people. And, not midgets. So I'm just thinking like, okay, I know I'm not tripping, I don't know. So I'm just like, whatever. I felt disgusted at this point because now I'm like, okay, this is some Hollywood shit and this must be some billionaire shit. So, I'm not that up there. So let me just head on out because I'm not trying to be in the middle of all of this. I need to figure out what the prince about to do with me because it just seemed weird. And I just walked out because I still have my friend out there waiting on me. So it's like I seen what I needed to see, and I just was disgusted.
Tana described the scene as something straight out of a movie, capturing just how surreal and unsettling the event truly was. Her testimony adds to the rising worries about these exclusive parties and the troubling potential for exploitation of vulnerable individuals behind closed doors.
The street, we could see our favorite rappers doing bisexual things, and we could feel like we still didn't see it. It could be right in front of our face, and we still won't believe it. People could tell us, we could feel it, and we still won't believe it. But what I seen, I'm like, this is some funny, weird, freaky shit. And at the end of the day, these people are some weirdos. I'm not with this, No. So I go outside. P. Diddy is outside on the couch with the prince. He's already just jacking off. Well, I don't know what I can say. And he's already just, feeling like, okay, she's been in there. She's seen, when people feel comfortable, you're on their playground, right? They like, so what do you think? Basically like, are you with this shit or what? Like, and I'm like, I'm not trying to be like the weirdo. It's kind of like when somebody offers you some at a party and it's like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that. You try to make it seem like I'm not gonna do that today. You guys are not weird. You guys aren't. But, so I'm not trying to offend anybody.
As Combs' federal trial continues, several former associates and employees have come forward with powerful testimony exposing the world around the music mogul. One such individual, a former insider who wasn't a victim, shared detailed observations of private parties, elite gatherings, and behind-the-scenes business dealings. Their account reinforced a clear and consistent image of Combs' conduct and the tightly controlled atmosphere within his inner circle.
What was announced today in court is there is a new alleged victim, but it's not necessarily what you think.
Victim 5 is how the government refers to this person, someone that they want to testify against Diddy. But it's not a victim of the crimes that he is facing in this trial.
There are 4 alleged victims for which Diddy is accused of violating the law. 4 of them, 3 ex-girlfriends, 1 ex-employee. This person is not somebody where Diddy is charged with assaulting her or committing any crime.
These accounts have played a key role in helping prosecutors build a timeline and deeper context for the allegations. The fact that these individuals, some not directly affected, chose to speak out highlights just how serious and far-reaching the impact was. Their testimony further strengthens the credibility of the case against Combs, adding weight to the prosecution's narrative.
Is somebody who is going to testify, according to prosecutors, that this is Diddy's MO. Yeah. This is the way he operates.
That's exactly right. This is being referred to as victim number 5. It's not with respect to the charged offenses. It's what's called a prior bad acts or an MO witness under the rules of evidence. And they are going to allow her to testify in this trial. However, Judge Subramanian did say something interesting. He's not going to afford anonymity to this witness. So we'll have to see if that witness does take the stand. We're going to see who exactly that is.
The fact that they were asking for the anonymity makes me feel that that's something she wanted.
Probably.
Now, did she want? Is she, now that she's not?
Is it a deal breaker?
Is it a deal breaker?
I don't
know.
know.
I mean, I'm sure prosecutors are going to be trying to convince her to still testify.
Yeah.
Diddy's recent court appearances have shown a dramatic shift from the flashy image he once projected. Observers have pointed out a noticeable change in his look, attributing it to the strain of his legal troubles and time behind bars. In court, Combs has appeared with graying hair and a beard to match, a stark departure from his once polished style. Journalists and sketch artists alike have commented on his slimmer frame and visibly aged presence, suggesting the emotional and physical toll is showing. One reporter described him as shockingly thinner and grayer, highlighting the stark contrast to his former self.
It's been interesting, during jury selection, Combs, like all criminal defendants, is required to be in the courtroom. And while he is known with this image of being a hip-hop mogul, kind of this icon who threw those elaborate star-studded white parties, his attire in court is very different. He looks almost like a college professor. His hair has turned gray. He's been in custody at the federal jail in Brooklyn, and he is not wearing clothes that you would expect a recording artist to wear. He's wearing gray pants, a navy blue crew neck sweater with a white collar popping out of the top of it, reflecting the seriousness of these charges that he's facing.
I have a photo of Diddy. I did not smuggle a camera into the courthouse in any orifice, but this is a Photoshop photo, truly just for reference. Like, the sketch artists weren't doing it, the koala wasn't doing it, so we took an original photo of Diddy, and this is what we think he looks like now in the courthouse. Like, this is what we saw. Mainly it's the hair, so it's more white, and then the sides of his face are not as hairy. And then he just looks really pale. I don't think that he lost that much weight. I feel like this is a good representation of the weight that I saw when I saw him in court. And then he's wearing the white collared shirt with a navy crew neck, but it's a little less V. It's more circular. But that's what we think.
This trial is revealing some jaw-dropping truths. What do you think about the leaked courtroom audio and Cassie's powerful testimony? Share your thoughts in the comments below.